At 25 years old, I did one thing that nobody understood. My friends thought I was crazy. My family thought I was wasting my life. But that one decision, that one thing I did every single day for 2 years, that's what made me a billionaire. And I'm about to tell you exactly what it was. I wasn't special at 25. I had $60 in my bank account. I was sleeping on the floor of an apartment with 5 other guys. I had no connections, no rich parents, no special advantages, but I made one choice that changed everything. One choice that separated me from everyone else grinding just as hard. One choice that most people refuse to make because it's uncomfortable, it's boring, and it doesn't look cool on Instagram. But it works. It worked for me. And it'll work for you if you're willing to do what nobody else will. July 1982. I'm 24 years old, about to turn 25. I just moved to Dallas, Texas, with everything I own in my car. Total money in my bank account is $60, not $600, not $6,000, $60. I don't have a job lined up. I don't know anyone in Dallas. I don't have a plan beyond get there and figure it out. My family back in Pittsburgh thinks I'm making a huge mistake. My friends think I'm running away from something. But I made a decision before I even got to Dallas, a decision that would define the next 40 years of my life. I decided that I was going to outwork everyone, not outsmart them, not out-network them, not get lucky, outwork them. That sounds simple. Everyone says they work hard. Everyone claims they're hustling. But I'm not talking about working hard at your job. I'm talking about something completely different. I decided that every single day, I would spend time learning something that would make me more valuable tomorrow than I was today. Not might make me more valuable, would make me more valuable. Every single day, no exceptions, no days off. No, I'm too tired. No, I'll do it tomorrow. That was the decision. And it sounds boring because it is boring. It's not sexy. It's not a hack. It's not a secret. It's just a commitment to daily learning that compounds over years into an unfair advantage. Most people won't do this. They work hard at their job, then they go home and watch TV. They zone out, they relax, they say they deserve it because they worked hard all day. And you know what? They're right, they do deserve it. But deserving rest and building wealth are two different things. I didn't rest, not for the first 2 years in Dallas. I worked during the day. Then I came home to that apartment with 5 roommates and I studied every single night, 3 to 4 hours, reading, learning, understanding how business worked, how sales worked, how technology worked. My roommates thought I was weird. They'd go out drinking, they'd watch TV, they'd socialize. And I'd be sitting on the floor with books and magazines spread around me, taking notes, learning. They were having more fun than me, no question. But fun doesn't compound. Knowledge compounds. Want to know what happened because of this one decision? 6 months into living in Dallas, I'm working at a bar called Elin. I'm a bartender making $4 an hour plus tips. During the day, I'm trying to get a sales job. Any sales job. Nobody's hiring me because I have no experience. But every night after my bartending shift, I'm going home and reading. I'm reading about computers, about software, about technology. This is 1982. Personal computers are brand new. Most people don't understand them. Most people don't care. But I'm reading everything I can find. PC Magazine, Byte Magazine, InfoWorld. I'm learning how computers work, what software does, what businesses need. I'm not learning this for a specific reason. I'm just learning because that's what I decided to do. Learn every day. One night, a customer comes into the bar. He's frustrated, complaining to his friend about his computer system. His business uses computers, and they keep breaking. Nobody knows how to fix them. He's losing money every time the system goes down. I'm listening while I'm making drinks, and I realize something. I know what he's talking about. Not because I have experience fixing computers, but because I spent the last 6 months reading about them every single night. I walk over, I introduce myself, I tell him I might be able to help. He's skeptical. I'm a bartender. Why would I know anything about computer systems? But I start asking questions, specific questions about his setup, what software he's running, what hardware he has, what the error messages say, and he realizes I actually understand what I'm talking about. That conversation led to my first computer consulting client. He paid me $40 to come look at his system. I fixed his problem in 2 hours. He paid me an extra $60 as a bonus. He told other business owners about me. Within 3 months, I had enough consulting clients to quit bartending. Within 6 months, I started Micro Solutions, my first real company. Within 7 years, I sold that company for $6 million, all because of one decision, the decision to learn every single day. The decision I made at 25 years old, sitting in my car with $60 driving to Dallas. Most people would have spent those nights after bartending, watching TV, or going out. They would have rested, relaxed, enjoyed their youth, and they would have never learned what I learned. Never been ready for that opportunity when it walked into the bar. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. I prepared every single night for 6 months. And when opportunity showed up, I was ready. But the preparation itself, that's what most people won't do. Want to know exactly what I was doing those nights? Every night after work, I had a system. Not a vague plan to learn things, a specific system that I followed religiously. Hour one was reading. I'd read 1 or 2 magazines, cover to cover, PC Magazine, Byte, whatever I could get my hands on. I wasn't skimming. I was reading every article, even the ones that seemed boring or irrelevant, especially those ones, because often the boring articles contained information that nobody else was reading, information that would become valuable later. Hour 2 was note-taking and connecting. I'd go back through what I read and take notes, but not just summaries. I'd think about how this information connected to business, how it connected to problems I saw people having, how it could make money. I was actively looking for arbitrage, for gaps between what technology could do and what businesses needed. Hour 3 was practice. If I read about a new software program, I try to get my hands on it and learn it. If I read about a new computer system, I'd find a way to see one and understand it. I was turning information into skills. Most people read and forget. I read and practiced. 3 hours every single night, 7 days a week, for 2 years straight. Think about that math. 3 hours a day times 365 days times 2 years. That's 2,190 hours of focused learning. While everyone else my age was going out, dating, partying, watching TV, I put in 2,190 hours of learning. That's the equivalent of working a full-time job for more than a year, except I wasn't getting paid for it. I was investing in myself. I was building knowledge that nobody could take away from me, knowledge that would eventually make me millions. Most people won't do this. They work their 40 hours a week at their job and call it done. They think showing up to work is enough. It's not enough. Not if you want to be exceptional. Not if you want to build real wealth. Your job is what pays your bills today. Your education is what builds your future. If you're not investing time in learning, you're not investing in your future. You're just maintaining your present. But I didn't just learn random things. I was strategic about what I learned. I wasn't learning about computers because I loved technology. I was learning about computers because I saw an opportunity. I saw that businesses needed computer systems but didn't understand them. I saw that there was money in that gap. Money in knowing something that businesses needed but didn't know themselves. That's knowledge arbitrage. Finding information that's valuable but uncommon. Learning things that other people aren't learning. Not because it's fun, because it creates an advantage. Most people learn what everyone else is learning. They study the popular topics. They read the best-selling books. They follow the trends. And you know what that creates? Competition. When everyone knows the same things, nobody has an advantage. I was reading technical magazines that most people found boring. I was learning about computer systems that most people didn't care about. I was building knowledge in an area that was about to explode but hadn't yet. That timing mattered. If I'd done this 5 years earlier, computers wouldn't have been ready for business use. If I'd done it 5 years later, the market would have been saturated with people who knew this stuff. But in 1982, 1983, I was early enough to build expertise before everyone else caught on. That's knowledge arbitrage. You can't learn what everyone else is learning and expect different results. You have to find the edges, the areas that are valuable but overlooked. The information that will matter tomorrow, but most people are ignoring today. When I was doing this in 1982, crypto didn't exist, social media didn't exist, AI was science fiction, but computers were emerging, and I positioned myself at that edge. Today, there are new edges, new areas of knowledge that are valuable but uncommon. AI, blockchain, new social platforms, emerging technologies. The specific area doesn't matter as much as the principle. Find something that's emerging, something businesses will need, something most people aren't learning yet, and go deep. Spend your 3 hours a day learning that thing. Not surface level, deep expertise. Become the person who knows that thing better than almost anyone else. That's what I did with computer systems in 1982. That's what created the opportunity. But the learning itself was only half of it. Knowing things is worthless if you can't turn knowledge into money. I learned that fast. After I started getting consulting clients from the bar, I realized something. Waiting for opportunities to walk into the bar was too slow. I needed to create opportunities. I needed to find businesses that had problems I could solve. So I started cold calling every single day. This is 1,983. No email, no social media, just phone calls. I'd get a phone book, find businesses that might need computer help, and I'd call them. Most people hate cold calling. I hated cold calling. It's rejection after rejection. People hang up on you. People are rude. People aren't interested. It's brutal. But I made a rule. 20 calls a day minimum. No matter how many rejections, no matter how discouraging it was, 20 calls every day. Some days I'd get through all 20 and get nothing. No interest, no meetings, nothing. But some days, one of those calls would turn into a meeting. And some of those meetings would turn into clients. And some of those clients would turn into big contracts. The math was simple. If I made 20 calls a day, that's 100 calls a week, that's 400 calls a month. Out of 400 calls, I'd usually get about 20 meetings. Out of 20 meetings, I'd usually get about 3 to 5 new clients. That's a 1% conversion rate from calls to clients. Terrible conversion rate, but it didn't matter because the volume made up for it. Most people make 5 calls, get rejected, and quit. They decide cold calling doesn't work. They decide it's not for them. But cold calling does work if you do enough of it, if you play the volume game. If you're willing to hear no 99 times to get one yes. I was willing because I understood something most people don't understand. Sales is a numbers game when you're starting. You don't have a brand, you don't have reputation, you don't have referrals, all you have is effort. So you have to out-effort everyone else. 20 calls a day times 5 days a week times 50 weeks a year. That's 5,000 calls a year. I was making 5,000 cold calls a year while learning 3 hours every night. That combination of knowledge and hustle, that's what built MicroSolutions. Within 3 years, MicroSolutions was doing over $1 million in revenue. Within 7 years, I sold it for $6 million. Not because I was smarter than everyone else, because I outlearned them and out-hustled them. But there was something else I did that nobody talks about. When MicroSolutions started making money, I had a choice. I could upgrade my lifestyle, get my own apartment, buy nice things, enjoy the money I was making. Or I could keep living like I was broke and invest everything back into learning and growing. I kept living with 5 roommates for 2 more years. Even when I was making good money, even when I could easily afford my own place. I stayed in that apartment sleeping on the floor because I understood something critical. Lifestyle inflation destroys wealth. The second you start spending more because you're making more, you trap yourself. You need to keep making that money to maintain that lifestyle. You can't take risks. You can't invest aggressively. You're stuck. But if you keep your lifestyle low, keep your expenses low, you have freedom. Freedom to take risks. Freedom to invest. Freedom to build something bigger. I kept my expenses at about $1,000 a month. Rent was $200 because I was splitting a cheap apartment with 5 people. Food was cheap because I ate simple. No car payment because I drove a beat up old car. No fancy clothes, no expensive hobbies, nothing. Meanwhile, MicroSolutions was generating more and more revenue. And all that money, all the profit, I was either reinvesting in the business or saving. I was building capital, building resources, building optionality. My friends who were making similar money, they were spending it all. New cars, nice apartments, going out to expensive restaurants. They looked successful. I looked like I was barely getting by. but I was building wealth and they were building lifestyle. 5 years later, when I sold MicroSolutions for $6 million, I had real wealth. They had stuff that depreciated, stuff that trapped them in jobs they hated because they needed the income to maintain the lifestyle. I had freedom to start my next company, freedom to take bigger risks, freedom to build broadcast.com, which eventually sold for $5.7 billion. That freedom came from keeping 5 roommates when I didn't have to, from living below my means when I could have upgraded, from choosing future wealth over present comfort. Most people make the opposite choice. They get their first taste of success and they immediately upgrade everything. And they wonder why they never break through to the next level. You can't break through when you're trapped by your lifestyle, but the lifestyle piece was still just discipline. The real breakthrough came from something completely different. 1,995. I'm 37 years old. MicroSolutions sold for $6 million a few years earlier. I'm working on my next idea, broadcast.com, trying to stream audio over the internet when nobody else is doing it. But I'm hitting walls, technical walls, business walls. I don't know how to scale audio streaming. I don't know how to make it reliable. I'm learning, but I'm learning too slow. The market is moving. Competitors are emerging. I need to accelerate. I make a decision. I'm going to read every single technical paper, every article, every piece of information I can find about streaming media and internet infrastructure. Not just read it, master it. Understand it better than anyone else in the business. For the next 4 months, I go back to my 25-year-old routine, but more intense. I'm reading and learning 5 to 6 hours a day, every day. Technical papers from universities, industry publications, everything. My friends think I'm obsessed. They tell me to relax, enjoy life. I already made my millions. But I'm not doing this for money anymore. I'm doing it because I realize something. The person who understands the technology best usually wins. Not the person with the most money, not the person with the best connections, the person with the deepest knowledge. After 4 months of this intense learning, something shifts. I start seeing patterns nobody else sees. I start understanding the technology at a level that lets me make decisions others can't make. I start predicting where the industry is going before it gets there. That knowledge advantage, that's what let broadcast.com pull ahead of everyone else. That's what made us the leader in streaming media. That's what made Yahoo pay $5.7 billion to acquire us in 1999. $5.7 billion. From a company I started with an idea and determination to outlearn everyone else in the space. But what people don't understand is that the $5.7 billion didn't come from working harder than everyone else. It came from knowing more than everyone else. I wasn't the smartest person in the room. I just studied longer and harder than everyone else. I put in the hours when they were relaxing. I read the papers they thought were too boring. I learned the technical details they thought didn't matter. That's what made me dangerous. Not talent, not genius, not luck. Knowledge accumulated through thousands of hours of focused learning. The same thing I started doing at 25 years old in that apartment with 5 roommates. The pattern repeated. At 25, I spent 3 hours a night learning about computers while tending bar. That knowledge created MicroSolutions. At 37, I spent 5 hours a day learning about streaming media while building broadcast.com. That knowledge created a $5.7 billion exit, same pattern, different stage, same result. Knowledge compounds, effort compounds, learning compounds. Want to know what else I learned along the way? I met Todd Pedersen on Shark Tank years later. He came in pitching Vivint, his home automation company. Smart guy, built a huge business. But what caught my attention wasn't his business, it was his story. Todd grew up poor, really poor. He started selling alarm systems door to door when he was 19 years old. He was terrible at it at first, getting rejected constantly, making almost no money. But he made a decision similar to the one I made. Every single night after selling all day, he'd study. He'd learn about the alarm systems he was selling. He'd learn about home security. He'd learn about sales psychology. He'd practice his pitch over and over. Within 2 years, he was the top salesman at his company. Within 5 years, he started his own company. Within 10 years, he'd built a company doing hundreds of millions in revenue. Eventually, Blackstone bought Vivint for over $2 billion. When I talked to Todd off camera, I asked him what made the difference. He told me the same thing I learned. He said most salespeople would finish their day and be done. They'd relax, they'd decompress, they'd watch TV. He'd go home and study for 2 to 3 hours every night, learning product knowledge, learning sales techniques, learning customer psychology. For years, while everyone else was relaxing, he was learning. That knowledge advantage is what made him the top salesman. That knowledge is what let him start his own company. That knowledge is what built a $2 billion business, same pattern, same principle, different person, different industry, same result. This isn't a Mark Cuban thing. This is a universal principle. The people who commit to daily learning, who invest hours every single day in getting better, those people build unfair advantages. Those people become dangerous in their field. Those people win. The people who work their job and go home and zone out, they stay average. Not because they're not talented, not because they don't work hard, because they're not learning, they're not growing, they're maintaining. But maintenance doesn't build wealth. Growth builds wealth. And growth comes from learning. Deliberate, focused, daily learning. The kind of learning that's boring. The kind nobody wants to do. The kind that doesn't feel productive in the moment but compounds into massive advantages over years. Want to know exactly how to implement this? You don't need to commit to learning every day for the rest of your life. That's overwhelming. Start with 90 days, 3 months, that's it. Pick one area, one skill, one topic, something that's valuable in your field or in a field you want to enter. Something that most people aren't learning deeply, something on the edge. For the next 90 days, commit to learning about that thing for 1 hour every single day, minimum. 1 hour. Not checking your phone, not multitasking, focused learning. Read books, read articles, watch tutorials, take notes, practice. Whatever it takes to go deep on this one thing. Become the person who knows this thing better than almost anyone else you know. 1 hour times 90 days is 90 hours. That's more than 2 weeks of full-time work spent on one skill. That's enough to build real expertise, enough to create an advantage, enough to open opportunities. Most people won't do this. They'll start strong for a week, then they'll get busy, then they'll skip a day, then they'll skip another day, then they'll quit. Don't be most people. Make this non-negotiable. Schedule it. Same time every day. Treat it like a job that pays you in future wealth instead of present income, because that's exactly what it is. After 90 days, you'll have a choice. Keep going deeper on this skill, or take what you learned and start applying it. Either way, you'll have built something valuable. Either way, you'll be ahead of where you started. I did this multiple times in my life. At 25 with computers, at 37 with streaming media, at 50 with basketball analytics after buying the Mavericks. Same pattern. Pick something valuable. Go deep for 90 days minimum. Build expertise. Use that expertise to create opportunities. It works. Not because it's magic, because most people won't do it. They won't put in the hours, they won't stay consistent, they won't sacrifice their free time. So the ones who do, they automatically separate themselves from the pack. But there's one more piece to this. I learned something on Shark Tank that changed how I think about competition. I've seen thousands of pitches, thousands of entrepreneurs, smart people, talented people, hardworking people. You know what separates the ones who succeed from the ones who fail? It's not the idea, it's not the market, it's not even the execution in most cases. It's effort. Consistent, relentless, daily effort. The entrepreneurs who win are the ones who simply refuse to be outworked. They might get outfunded, they might get outmarketed, but they will not be outworked. That's an effort monopoly. When you decide that nobody will work harder than you, you create an unfair advantage that money can't buy. Rich competitors can't buy more effort. Smart competitors can't think their way past your effort. Connected competitors can't network past your effort. Effort is the one thing you completely control. And it's the one thing most people underestimate. I tell this to every entrepreneur who comes on Shark Tank. Your idea might not work. Your market might shift. Your funding might fall through. But if you maintain an effort monopoly, you'll figure something out. You'll adapt. You'll survive. You'll eventually win. The people who fail are the ones who give moderate effort, who work hard sometimes, but not always, who hustle when motivated, but coast when they're not. You can't build a business on moderate effort. You can't build wealth on moderate effort. Moderate effort gets moderate results, and moderate results don't change your life. At 25, I committed to an effort monopoly. I decided nobody would outwork me. Not in learning, not in hustling, not in anything. That decision, that commitment, that's what created everything that came after. When I was bartending and consulting, I was outworking every other consultant. When I was building micro solutions, I was outworking every competitor. When I was building broadcast.com, I was outworking everyone in streaming media. Not because I was special, because I made a choice to go home and learn while everyone else went home and relaxed. A choice to make cold calls while everyone else made excuses. A choice to study the technology while everyone else assumed they knew enough. That choice compounded. One day of effort advantage is nothing. 1 week is barely noticeable. 1 month starts to matter. 1 year is significant. 5 years is enormous. 10 years is insurmountable. That's what I built at 25. A 10-year effort advantage that turned into billions of dollars. But the billions aren't the point. The point is the freedom, the options, the ability to live life on my terms. That's what effort buys. Want to know the exercise that locks this in? Every morning, before you do anything else, write down your non-negotiable for the day. Not your to-do list, not your goals, your one non-negotiable learning task. What's the one thing you will learn today no matter what? What's the 1 hour of focused learning you will not skip regardless of how busy you get or how tired you are? Write it down. Be specific. Not just read about marketing. Read chapter 3 of this specific marketing book. Not just learn about coding. Complete this specific coding tutorial. One specific learning task. 1 hour minimum, non-negotiable. Then, at the end of the day, before you go to sleep, check it off. Did you do it? Yes or no? Not mostly, not kind of. Either you did your 1 hour non-negotiable or you didn't. Track this for 90 days. You'll have a visual record of your commitment. You'll see your streak. You'll see the days you followed through and the days you didn't. Most people can't go 90 days without missing. They'll hit day 15 or day 30 and they'll skip. They'll have an excuse, and that's when they fail. Because skipping once makes skipping twice easier. Skipping twice makes skipping 3 times easier, and pretty soon they've quit completely. Don't skip, not once. For 90 days, hit your non-negotiable every single day. Prove to yourself that you can do it. Build the discipline, build the habit, build the identity of someone who follows through. After 90 days, you won't need the exercise anymore. It'll be automatic. You'll feel wrong going to sleep without having learned something that day. That's when you know you've changed. That's when you've built a real learning habit. I've been doing this for 40 years. Not with an exercise, just with a commitment. Every single day, I learn something new, read something valuable, study something that makes me better. Some days it's 30 minutes, some days it's 3 hours, but there's never a day where I don't learn. That's 40 years times 365 days times an average of 1 hour per day. That's 14,600 hours of learning. That's almost 7 years of full-time work spent learning. While everyone else was watching TV, scrolling social media, zoning out, I was learning. You think that doesn't create an advantage. You think 14,600 hours of learning doesn't matter. That's the difference. That's what separates billionaires from everyone else. Not luck, not connections, not genius. Hours. Focused learning hours compounded over decades. But knowledge alone isn't enough. The biggest mistake people make with learning is they never apply what they learn. They read books and do nothing. They take courses and do nothing. They watch videos and do nothing. Learning without application is entertainment. It feels productive, but it creates nothing. You have to take what you learn and use it immediately. When I was learning about computer systems at 25, I wasn't just reading for fun. Every time I learned something new, I'd think about how I could use it, how I could apply it, how I could turn it into money. I'd learn about a new software program, and I'd immediately think about which businesses might need it. I'd learn about a new system configuration, and I'd immediately think about how it could solve problems I'd heard people complaining about. Knowledge to application, fast. That's the gap most people never bridge. They learn and learn and learn, and they never do anything with it. They become smart people with no results. Don't be a smart person with no results. Be a person who learns and applies. Learn and implement. Learn and execute. That tight loop between learning and application, that's what creates value. When I learned about streaming media, I didn't just study it academically. I immediately started building broadcast.com. I was applying what I learned in real time. That meant I learned faster because I was getting feedback. I could see what worked and what didn't. Most people learn in theory and hope to apply later. I learned and applied simultaneously. That's faster, that's better, that's what creates results. So when you do your 90-day knowledge sprint, don't just learn, apply. If you're learning marketing, launch a marketing campaign. If you're learning sales, make sales calls. If you're learning to code, build something. Application creates feedback. Feedback creates better learning. Better learning creates better application. It's a cycle that accelerates your growth. People who just learn, they grow linearly. People who learn and apply, they grow exponentially. That's the difference between knowledge workers and wealth builders. Want to know what happened after the billions? After Yahoo bought broadcast.com for $5.7 billion, I had more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. I was 41 years old, billionaire. Set for life, I could retire. Do whatever I want, never work again. You know what I did? I kept learning. Bought the Dallas Mavericks and started learning everything about basketball analytics, started angel investing, and learned everything about early stage companies. Got involved in tech and learned about AI, crypto, and emerging platforms. I didn't stop because I realized something. The money didn't make me happy. The learning made me happy. The growth made me happy. The process of getting better every day made me happy. Money bought me freedom. Freedom is important, but freedom without growth is boring. Freedom without purpose is empty. The money let me choose what to learn instead of learning what I had to learn for survival. But the learning itself, that never stopped. That's what people don't understand about wealthy people. The ones who stay wealthy, who stay engaged, who stay relevant, they're all still learning. Warren Buffett reads for hours every day. He's in his 90 seconds and worth over $100 billion. He doesn't need to learn. He wants to learn. Bill Gates reads 50 books a year. He's worth over $100 billion. He doesn't need to read. He chooses to read because successful people understand that the learning is the point. The money is a byproduct. Most people think they'll start learning when they have more time, when they have more money, when things settle down. That's backwards. You learn first. The learning creates opportunities. The opportunities create money. The money creates time, not the other way around. I started learning when I had $60 and was sleeping on the floor. I didn't wait for the perfect time. I didn't wait until I could afford courses. I just started with free magazines and library books and whatever I could get my hands on. You don't need money to learn. You don't need time to learn. You need commitment to learn. 1 hour a day. That's it. Anyone can find 1 hour. Anyone can commit to that. The question is, will you? Will you actually do it? Or will you watch this video, nod along, and change nothing? Because most people change nothing. They understand everything and do nothing. Don't be most people. You want to know the real secret? There is no secret. It's all boring. It's all simple. It's all stuff you already know. Learn every day, work harder than everyone else, apply what you learn, stay consistent, don't quit. That's it. That's the whole formula. The reason it works is because it's boring, because it's simple, because everyone knows it, but nobody does it. They want a shortcut. They want a hack. They want some hidden knowledge that unlocks everything. There's no hidden knowledge. There's no shortcut. There's just the work. The daily, boring, unglamorous work of learning and applying and growing. I did that work at 25 when I had nothing. I'm still doing that work at 66 with billions. The work doesn't change. The scale changes. The resources change. But the fundamental habit of daily learning and daily effort, that never changes. That's what I did at 25 that made me a billionaire. Not one brilliant idea, not one lucky break, not one genius move, just thousands of days of learning and working while everyone else was relaxing. Thousands of days times 1 hour equals thousands of hours. Thousands of hours equals massive knowledge advantage. Massive knowledge advantage equals opportunities. Opportunities plus effort equals results. Results compounded over decades equals billions. It's math, boring math, but it works every time for everyone who actually does it. The question is, are you going to do it? You're at a decision point, the same decision point I was at when I was 25 years old with $60 in my bank account. You can keep doing what you're doing, working your job, going home and relaxing, watching TV, scrolling social media, living like everyone else, and you'll get what everyone else gets. Average results, average life, average wealth. Or you can make a different choice. The choice to learn every single day. The choice to work harder than everyone else. The choice to invest in yourself when nobody's watching. The choice to sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term freedom. That choice won't feel significant today. 1 hour of learning tonight won't change your life. One night of working while others relax won't make you rich. But 1 hour every day for a year is 365 hours. That's 9 full weeks of work invested in yourself. 1 hour every day for 5 years is 1,825 hours. That's almost a full year of work. A full year of learning that your competition didn't do. A full year of advantage that compounds into opportunities. 1 hour every day for 10 years is 3,650 hours. That's almost 2 full years of learning, 2 years of knowledge accumulated while everyone else was consuming entertainment. 2 years, that creates an insurmountable advantage in your field. That's what I did. That's what every successful person I know did. That's what separates people who build wealth from people who stay broke. Not talent, not luck, not connections, hours. Focused learning hours compounded over years. The choice is in front of you right now. Which path will you take? The comfortable path or the growth path? The entertainment path or the learning path? The same path as everyone else or the path that leads somewhere different? Most people will choose comfort. They'll choose entertainment. They'll choose the easy path, and they'll wonder why their life never changes. Don't be most people. Choose the hard path. Choose the learning. Choose the growth. Your 35-year-old self will thank you. Your 45-year-old self will thank you. Your 65-year-old self will thank you. But only if you start today. Only if you make the choice right now. Not tomorrow, not Monday, not when things settle down. Today. Stop watching this video and go do 3 things right now before you do anything else. First, pick your topic. What's one skill or area of knowledge that would make you more valuable? What's emerging in your field that most people aren't learning yet? What knowledge gap could you fill that would create opportunities? Pick one thing, write it down, be specific. Second, find your learning source. What book will you read? What course will you take? What resource will you use? Find it right now, buy it if you need to, bookmark it, download it, whatever it takes. Don't move on until you have your learning source identified. Third, schedule your learning time. What time will you learn tomorrow? Put it in your calendar. Set an alarm. Make it non-negotiable. 1 hour minimum. Same time every day if possible. Consistency matters more than intensity. Do those 3 things in the next 24 hours. Don't think about it. Don't plan to plan. Actually do it. Pick topic, find source, schedule time. That's your commitment. Then tomorrow, you start your 90-day knowledge sprint. 1 hour of focused learning every single day. No exceptions, no excuses. After 90 days, come back and watch this video again. See how far you've come, see what you've built, see what opportunities opened up. Then decide if you want to keep going or if you want to coast. I'm betting you'll keep going because once you see what daily learning creates, once you feel yourself getting better, once opportunities start opening up, you won't want to stop. The learning becomes addictive. The growth becomes the goal. That's what happened to me at 25. I started learning because I had to. I kept learning because I wanted to. 40 years later, I'm still learning. Not because I need the money, because I need the growth. You can have the same thing. You can build the same habit. You can create the same advantages. You just have to start today, right now. Go do the 3 things. Pick topic, find source, schedule time, then start tomorrow. Don't delay, don't wait, don't think about it, just do it. Your future is built from your daily choices. Choose to learn, choose to grow, choose to invest in yourself. That's what I did at 25. That's what made all the difference. Start building today.